and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obami Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah, 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 yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Hey. Reliable information. History. Ooh. Talking about culture. Yeah. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Yeah. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Focus on Liberia on FOL TV and 95.9 Kia FM. We are broadcasting live from Monrovia, and we are there in your living room in Monrovia and other parts of the country. Today, we're going to be talking about the Nimba by-elections. In the second half, Dr. George Gonpu, who is an aspirant in the Nimba County by-election, will be here. But before that, we are going to be looking at some current issues like President Boakai's luxury cars, the protests in Monrovia, and the brutality from the police to quell those protests. We also look at the ECOWAS delegation in the face of the fracas, the ongoing fracas in the House and more. And we're going to be discussing these issues, looking at the question, are our best days behind us or ahead of us? Every time people talk, they talk about the good old days. You know, when I was in Monrovia College, we used to have current, and we go in the lab or the lecture hall to drink from the fountain. Some people will say, oh, during the days of Dr. Anthony Brown Sherman, the University of Liberia was the best. JFK was a referral hospital, and every time we are looking backwards. So our best days, are they ahead of us or behind us? I'm glad that we have the progressive Deacon Carlos in studio. Deacon, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And while talking about the progressive, that's from the 70s, and now we also have the neo-progressive, Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, joining us. Welcome, Dr. Pearson.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure being on the show this morning in the U.S. and this afternoon in Liberia. I want to say hi to all of the esteemed panelists in the studio and to the people of Liberia. Liberia is all we have, and we cannot keep silent in the midst of our progressive issues.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Dr. J. Otavius Mali, who's joining us from the ocean state of Rhode Island. Welcome, Dr. Mali. Unmute yourself and talk to me. We can't hear you, Dr. Mali. Let me welcome the lawyer's daughter, the champ's mother, and the one and only Glendy Jane Jr. Welcome, sir. Welcome, madam. Unmute yourself, Glendy.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here. To Deacon, of course, and Dr. Pearson. It's good. When you see we are up early this morning, it means that Liberia is important to us. So everybody in Radio Land, TV Land, wherever you're watching from, good morning. It's good to be here.
Thank you, Glendy, for joining us. We are still expecting FOL political analyst Mohammed Sharif is on his way. Dr. Mali, how are we doing? All right. Dr. Mali is having some problem with his gadget there. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is FOL Live on the radio in Monrovia. We have our man in studio, Mr. Josh Goes, the producer at Kia FM. Well, I talk about, let's start with the current, many things are happening in Monrovia, in Liberia today. And one of those things, we have, there was a display of Lexus, brand new Lexus luxury cars for President Boakai. Already, President, we have left some cars. And then we heard about the bulletproof cars. Now it's Lexus. Also, our friend Ami Moda was fired because he bought a luxury car, and President Boakai said, well, that car, we can fire you, but we'll use it for my guests. So you have former President Weah's cars, Ami Moda's car, the bulletproof cars, and now Lexus. Before then, we saw presidential fleet, starting from President Doe, we saw his cars, and people were saying, oh, wow. And now went to President Taylor, President Sirleaf, President Weah. President Weah flaunted with some of those sports cars. So this car thing, and let me start with the progressive Deacon. This whole issue of cars, Deacon, how you look at it, that every time, and I'm wondering, I mean, is this really true? If you can unmute yourself, is this really true? Why is it that people are in love with so many cars, luxury cars? Everybody wants cars. They send in new cars. Everybody car. And we're driving the cars in Monrovia, where the road from Freeport to Douala is almost unplayable.
First, I grew up without a car.
Okay.
We walk several miles daily. No car. No road. So when people get excited about cars, I live in the United States for over 30 years. So that side, I was making small money. I could have gotten any car. In Liberia, I can't afford a car. So these guys, maybe they know where the money coming from, where the costs are coming from. They know who pays. I don't know how they are paid these pretty good money.
Does it surprise you?
Well, I don't think I'm that surprised.
Why so?
If somebody get up in the morning and get $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 car, they're not paying. If you're paying, then that's something that you're not paying. Somebody else is paying. So I wish the whole question of who pays or who is paying for these expensive cars, I wish I would get some answer on that. I can't afford $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 car. So if I see some people in town here with all kind of cars, I want to.
Cool. Glendy, I think you know who is paying for this car. Did you, in your wildest imagination, thought that President Boakai will be flaunting with luxury cars?
So I don't think that I thought about that, but also because we were from the backdrop of some of the things President Boakai said, that he would be a simple president, not simple as in being not important, but that he would be highly economical, that he would not be wasteful, those things. But then again, flip it on the other side, he's a president. The government of Liberia is probably in the budget to purchase the vehicles. I think timing for me is the problem. I think if the president feels he wants to have cars that are protected, well protected, then that's fine. But then again, the cars that President Weah had, where they turned over to him, where the cars that were still in good shape. I don't know. For me, when it comes to the problem with the cars, I think timing is everything, especially now when the country and you see people are struggling. There's a lot of difficulties. I think now to be able to get luxurious cars and flaunting them in front of Liberian people, I just think right now the timing is wrong.
Let me welcome FOL political analyst, Mr. Mohammed Sharif. Mr. Sharif, welcome. And then President Boakai's luxury cars. I talk about the cars that President Weah left. They are there. You can drive them in Monrovia. Then we heard of the bulletproof cars. Now we have Lexus. And then we also saw that when Amin Mudar was fired, President Boakai said, you can leave, but give me your car for my guest. So all these cars, what is President Boakai doing with these? You know, sometimes somebody want to say, President Boakai, you too? Are you asking that question?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dennis, for the question. You know, as a president, you don't need luxury cars. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, very well.
Yeah, you don't need luxury cars. Look, if you know, in the days of the Volkswagen would do. Right now, a Toyota Corolla, you know, something, you know, a nice little car that can take you from point A to point B. Look, Dennis, if I'm president, you know, those are the kind of vehicles, you know, like a small car, a Corolla, you know, Toyota Corolla, something to take me from point A to point B. And all ministers must abide by this, you know, in the executive authority. You don't need a big flashy cars to do your job. Look, and people say, oh, what, but they have to go to the interior and the roads are bad. Okay, fix the damn roads. And then those cars will be able to plow the route. The roads are not fixed. They're a muddy mess all over the place. This is not the doing of President Boakai, but, you know, one of the reasons why I supported, endorsed this president is his promise to fix the roads, to make the roads pliable, you know, and, you know, I'm still holding the president to that. He hasn't delivered on that promise to the Liberian people. And that is a problem for me that, you know, 170 plus year old country has no pliable roads. People can't travel from Monrovia to Kalipo to Maryland, to Greenville, to Harper or Plebo, you know, or Von Gemma, places like that. The president has to fly over, you know, those roads. It's absolutely mind-boggling that presidents, administration after administration after administration is doing the same thing, and the Liberian people are being fleeced. This is fleecing the Liberian people. This is very dangerous. It's an existential threat to the forward development of the Liberian nation state.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, Liberia is facing challenges when it comes to the money we put towards development, right? So if you look at the budget, over 80% spent on expenditure, and we have so much to do. I mean, where is that audacity coming from that we are paying, our leaders are so expensive that we have no money left to do the things that we're supposed to do to run the country? Why do you think people are so emboldened to spend the money on themselves?
Thank you, Dennis, and welcome to Mohammed. It's a pleasure seeing you, brother. Listen, Dennis, I would say this for the public good and for those who viewing us and our children to come after us, we should make this clear that it is not wrong for our president to be in a vehicle that befits the presidency. Matter of fact, I think if we can, our presidents should be well protected and well dignified because of the office, not just the individual. But for me, the question is, why are we having this conversation? And the reason why I think we're having this conversation is the political hypocrisy of the very opposition who spew a lot of derogatory statements against the previous government, that the country was in a dire need of every minimum dollar we can have and spend on the people. And instead of spending on the people, we're spending on individual persons. And so it was not that it is not a good thing to have our presidents in dignity, but it is like Glenn and others said, it's the timing. It's like when like, let me say this: when my mother was raising me and my 6 other siblings in Liberia, when we were in dire straits, what my mother would do is that even if she cooked 1 cup of rice, she would not give herself part of that portion of the rice. The 6 kids will eat the rice, and the old man go to bed hungry, Dennis. But so where is that fatherliness that we all claim that President Boakai brought to the table? That President Boakai will be able to see beyond his self-interest and the interest of his own political fellows and see the plight of the Liberian people. Someone said in the chat there that President Boakai procured these cars March of 2024. March of 2024, you telling me President Boakai was just in 2 months into his presidency. Was that his priority? Taking over what he called a broken down government, a depraved people? When he was telling Liberian people, you are in dire straits. Your children are in the streets. They are selling. Your children are on drugs. So was procuring $1 million of vehicle his first priority? I think that was totally a misplaced priority.
Dr. Pearson, what would be enough for the president when it comes to the comfort, when it comes to security? How many cars or what level of cars, what kind of car would be enough to provide that?
All right, Dennis. I don't want to fall into the category of President Boakai, who will sit and say president shouldn't ride private jet when he knows that it's a very important aspect of his presidency. I would rather consider how many trips I make, the relevance of the trip I'm making, how much I'm spending on the trip. But I wouldn't say the president shouldn't ride private jet. But that's why I would say to your question, Dennis.
Well, how many jets?
What value of car the president can ride? The value of the car the president can ride will equate to the value of the life he's given his people. If the president gave a life of dignity to his people, nobody will bother about what value of car he rides. If the president takes people out of poverty and increase the middle class in the country, nobody will be crying about the kind of car he rides. But when the people are poor, when they are lying down in Florida homes, when there's no roads to get to Boakai, I can't even get to Maryland, my Harper City. I can't get there in time. And then the president wants to ride a car and go where in Lofa on Mother Road with a Lexus 600, 800 series. What kind of a nonsense is that? The president should recalibrate. We should sell those vehicles and support education. And the president should ride. I agree. My father had Volvo. My father had Ford. I couldn't understand why we had 2 important cars in those days. Well, back in the days. And I woke up and I look at the cars and I said, what are big cars in the garage? My papa said, look, I'm a big boy. But listen, this is not time for a big boy. This is time for the country to move beyond poverty. That's what we're talking about here.
Dennis, I'll just come in real quick. If you just give me a few seconds.
Yeah, I want to go to Dr. Marley, but so I'll give you 30 seconds. Please, let's be brief. We have a lot to cover.
I agree. I agree mostly 90% with my brother Pearson, Dr. Pearson right there. But when he said the president needs to own vehicles, riding vehicles that, to protect, there is no security threat to the president of the Republic of Liberia at this time. There is nothing going on in the country. So the idea that presidents should ride flashy vehicles is just, it's a contradiction to what is going on with the average Liberians. People are very poor, dirt poor. So the president shouldn't be riding flashy vehicles. I don't care who it is. I talk about George Weah, like heck, and you know me. So George Weah was flying around private jets, and I condemn that. I criticize that. And this president riding private jets, like Dr. Pearson said, we have to condemn that. We have to condemn big flashy cars on all levels, not just at the executive level, but also at the legislative level and the judicial level. All levels of government, all branches of government are doing this. And it's inimical to the growth of the Liberian nation state.
Thank you. Dr. Marley.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. I just want us to be a bit realistic here. There's this popular maxim that say when you are not in the office, you use different lenses to do your analysis. But when you are in the office, sometimes you get consumed by the office you occupy. I think it is customary for the African president. They see the presidency as a place of luxury. they don't see it as service to the people. They see it as a place of luxury and where they go to enrich themselves. I think His Excellency is coming under fire because he came on the mantra of rescuing a dying nation. You see, and when you are rescuing a dying nation, you need to deprive yourself of so many things. It's like the home is falling apart. Mommy is crying. The children, they are there crying. And daddy is just there in the club. Daddy will have to cut down, go into the club, reserve some money in the house, so the kids will go to school, so mommy can be happy. But then, again, we have forgotten to know that we are humans. It's customary that when you get to the presidency, I mean, you should be protected. All the things we're discussing, if by chance any of us enter the executive mansion, trust me, it's going to be a very different story, because it is a place where the responses not match with what you told the people down the line. Yes, Joseph Boakai told His Excellency, former President Weah, he was taking jet and going from here to this place. Just lastly, he was in one of the little jets. So what I'm driving out here is that Joseph Boakai, he's not a robot. He's just a human being, and probably he was paying his way to the presidency. But it's the same.
Are you suggesting the presidency is Kukumu Jumuku? You don't inside, you don't know.
You don't, no, not only the presidency, any office for that matter. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, there are a lot of.
But sorry, Dennis. I don't think that should be an excuse. That if we're not inside, or if you haven't become president, or you're not in an office, you shouldn't do it. That's what people, when people are running for positions, they make promises. And they should have an idea of some of the things that they're going to be able to accomplish or not to accomplish. We understand you get that things may be different, but we cannot build our society based on the fact that, oh, prior to going, this is what I thought I would do, and now I cannot. He needs to be able to strive to meet up with some of those things that he promised. That's why he was elected.
Thank you. That brings me, and I know a lot of things went on this week and even last week, a lot of the issues, but which we can cover all. But with those issues at the back of your mind, my question to you is, are our best days behind us? And the reason I'm asking this is that every time people talk, we talk about the good old days. I will tell you, when I was in my hometown, Dodwicken, right? We had a mission school where, I mean, everything, planes flew in and out, even though there was no car, we had electricity, okay? Everything in the town was about education and God. So if you were in the junior high, you were performing always almost at a high school level. You talk about LU days when people used to fly from other countries to come and attend LU or go to a hospital at JFK. We talk about the values in the children where there was respect for elders. People knew their place. You know, oh, patient dog eats the fat bone. So people, these values were inculcated. Now, if you look at today, my question to you, Glendy, are our best days behind us, or are they ahead of us?
I think we're in our best days. And I'll say that to mean that some of us, maybe back then, we would not have been able to participate in some of the discussions now. For me, the fact that I'm able to even sit on the platform and talk about Liberia issues, I think that's commendable. I think we're living in it now. We can even make it better by our contribution to society. Listen, we understand there may be problems in Liberia. There are issues, there are difficulties, but we are all Liberians, and we all need to be able to participate to see what we can do better for our country. So am I anticipating there will be better days? Absolutely. Will I even be in the better days? No. So I'm hoping that now that I'm alive, I'm living in the best days of Liberia because I'm participating in what goes on in the country.
And I would get to Deacon in a minute, but let me go to Dr. Pearson. Dr. Pearson, are we living our best days now? Are they ahead of us or behind us? How's the people?
Then I see the analysis of my sister Glennie, and I don't oppose her perspective at this time. But what I would say if we live in our best days now or behind us, or is it in the future? As a progressive, I see an onward progression in life. I look forward to improving what I have today. If we think that our best days are behind us, then we're not going anywhere. If we think our best days is now, then there's no need for improvement. I think there's need for improvement. I think right now our people going to bed hungry. Our people don't have a proper education, health care. This cannot be our best days. This is not what Baker Matthew were advocating for. This is not what even Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was looking forward to when she was laying the foundation in post-war Liberia. This is not what President Boakai was pay for 200 million plus every year for 12 years and did nothing to show afterwards. That's not what President we are wanted when you're trying to build roads and other things. And I don't think this is what President Boakai should want now. We want to see a Liberia that is on par with Uganda, Botswana, Rwanda, countries that are advancing and giving your young people free education and compensate them for going to school and give them a start up after graduation with opportunities with the degree in education they have received. President Boakai, please go to Botswana. Kids graduate from Botswana University, they come out of there with seed money in agriculture. They gave them all of the equipment and the lands and the seedings. What are we talking here?
It's okay to be idealistic and aspirational and very hopeful and optimistic of the future. But let's be realistic. Why are we always looking back when we want to talk about the good days of Liberia? Are they not here now? Or yes, we can all hope for the future, but let's come in the real world.
Dennis, if I live with my father and my father was riding a 1984 Volvo, and I'm in 2025 in the United States and I want to go buy what 1920, it was the quality of his time. That is the quality of my time. So what I've seen, the easy answer to you, Dennis, is that we can look back to see what progress we've made, but the future is before us and life is progressive. We have to have a growth mindset. Look, I want President Boakai to take a flight to Botswana, and I want him to speak to the president of Botswana to see what education looks like.
Thank you. Let me go to Deacon Kala, one of those who advocated for the future that we have now. So Deacon, in the 70s, I used to hear, all the aspirations. The future you were advocating for is today. Are you happy with the present, or you want to look back and say those best days are behind us? Is this what you wanted?
Let me say to you, my father and brother brought me to Monrovia in 1962. I came by LNA. LNA, the Liberian National Airline. Today, I look like we have a problem to put an LNA or a solid piece of plane on the ground. Some people, I come from the area of Sino. Some people will come by ship from Maryland to Sino, from Sino to Riverside to Bassa to Monrovia. They came by the boat. So how come today we are just at, say, road where no cars or where the car system is poor? We have to diversify where our utility, package. I'm not talking about who ride what car. I just wish we modify, we create the capacity for ourselves, so that if you can't afford $50,000 like me, then you can ride a good ship. You can take maybe something else. The alternative is good. I don't think we're creating the alternative for ourselves, and there where I like to, have take the discussion. The question of education. You take good schools. The teachers were good. The teachers were very good.
And I'm noting the past. They were good, meaning they are not good now. Continue.
Well, it doesn't. I don't think No, they're not good. They're not good. My son said to me, because knowing you think you will have me go to school? I said, well, the Catholic school, St. Patrick. Oh, he said, then he laughed. I said, Monrovia College, he laughed. CWA, you just counting your schools. So why can I count my school? Why people can't invest in their school? William B.S. Tottenham High School, it was very good. So if you did not go to St. Patrick's and you are in Tottenham High, you standing pretty good. So I said the analysis must be done. The assessment must be done so that our school, so that we can step it up. The other day I was pretty sick, so I went to JFK, and somebody said to me, "Go to the particular doctor. If he's not there, wait, wait." You see, I promise you, it's good. So we waited a while. Then he came to me, and the person who escorted me to JFK happened to have been his classmate. Then she called him, said, "Oh, that's my client, that's my client." He said, "Yes." Then he said to me, "She was good." We know ourselves, we were bad in class, and we're not good. So we have to invest in our schools, in our health system, whether it's at JFK. You pay some money in these schools, you pay a lot of money, and sometimes the kids look like they're not too all right. So I think there's a need to do the analysis, to do the assessment, to just stop, stand up, and look a little more, and say, no, they're not good. We're not going to accept this. And there were, I would hope that the president, people that run his system, they would just stand up and say, this is not good. We're not going to take it.
Before I leave you on Deacon, but this is what you agitated for, right? Where did you go wrong that we have what we have today? And I heard you say they were. Always being nostalgic about the past.
I always thought what we were doing, we work, we research, we were building analytical basket, laying the yardstick, the matrices. You have to manage the system. You do the kind of work we did. We have to manage it. When we didn't get to manage to take over, I knew we were heading for trouble. That was 1980. 1980, when we didn't take it over, when I didn't see one of the guys taking over the school system, the health system, this, that, then I knew something was going to happen. And when they put a system together, I came to the States. And I said, damn it, how we screw ourselves like this? How come? So when you do all the advocacy, then you gotta do it yourself. You see? You must do it yourself. You must set the standard yourself. The caliber of training you give your kids so that they will progressively, step by step, go out there and compete. We didn't take it over when we didn't win it. And you can see it today. We didn't win it.
Thank you. Mohammed, you heard Deacon talking and you see the forlornness in his voice. Say they were good then. In your view, is it just the old people being nostalgic about the past, or the tough time we are having today, they are just the birth pains of a vibrant Liberia that is coming tomorrow?
I'm glad that Deacon, and by the way, great to see you, Deacon. I'm glad that he's admitting this. He's one of the few that's only admitting this from the progressive era. Dennis, in the latter years of the Tober government, I went to a little small village private school, public school, way back there in Kalipo. And we share our buildings with, goats and cows and stuff like that when the school day was over. And this is where I started my formative years as a student. And I go through that school and come up to high school and became the valedictorian and went to the University of Liberia and did my very, very best. And here am I, Dennis, as perhaps as one of the best and brightest, perhaps.
Right.
Without talking my own
And I see the car you drive.
So what I'm saying here, Dennis, is that back then the quality, as Deacon said, was good, but Deacon and others said that wasn't good enough. So we have to dump this system that's giving us this. This was not good enough. Teachers were getting paid in the rural area, so paymaster will go to the rural area and pay these teachers so that the teachers don't have to travel to Zwedru for their paycheck to be cashed in the Lebanese store in something called LPA or LPR, something, I forgot what it is now. What it was, LPA. So our elder brothers said that wasn't good enough, that we have to do away with that system. And that system was done with. So once that system was...
I think they meant improvement. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to build and improve.
A lot of them have said that we needed to topple the system, clean sweep. So we had a clean sweep in 1980. So when we had a clean sweep in 1980, paymaster didn't go to the interior anymore. When the so-called natives got in office, paymaster didn't go to the interior anymore. Teachers had to go from Kalipo to Zwedru and spend days. Well, they were not teaching the students anymore. They have to go to the Lebanese store to cash that check, where the Lebanese merchant was giving them items that they did not even need, blue bar soap, salt, and stuff like that. So the progressive didn't come back to express remorse for these things, that they were not able to stay around to improve the system, or that the coalition of the progressives and the military could not get along because the military wanted power for themselves as well. So their whole charade was derailed, if you like. And I'm glad that one of the progressives, Deacon with the credential, is coming in this public space to admit that it was good back then. It's not good now. So the more things change in Liberia now, the downwards we continue to go. And this downward trajectory is driving us in a ditch.
Yeah, Deacon, go ahead.
Look, for our country to be better, I'm not advocating dragging or dumping what we have. I'm saying we should upgrade it. We should make it better. You should make it better. Look, I came from Sinai as a little kid on a plane. And I thought I'd be riding plane all the way. I was 5, 6 years old. I was riding plane. So what happened today? What happened about service delivery in our country? Yesterday...
You can answer that question. What happened?
Yeah. Please permit me.
All right. I'm just excited. That's why.
You have to invest in what you have. If you say your roads are no good, you build one piece of road, say 1960. They built a road in Greenville, Mississippi Street. They were preparing it for Tubman's birthday. So by 1962, they kind of completed the road. They never touched it until the coup took place. See it? You build a road, good road, and you never maintain it. You just never meet that Greenwich Street from 1962 from Tubman's birthday. And mind you, at the time, Tubman was riding yacht, the little Bawati ship. So he didn't give a, I shouldn't say he gave a damn, but that's why he was riding ship. He was riding a very sophisticated yacht. So it looked like he did not, they didn't balance this value system to say, okay, we need ship, okay, so we need car, so we need boat, so we need this. They did not put together the transportation package. Tottenham had a yacht. It was okay. The rest of the people can do whatever. Tottenham had a yacht. So the transportation system, from the time I started coming to myself, 62, 63, 64, then 65, like sports. You have one of the best goalkeeper player. You didn't invest in it. You have to invest, whether it's the sports, whether the school, whether the health system. You must review it every day. You must invest all that kind of thing I call hanky fruits in our budget. You got to put it into real thing. I'm not saying somebody eating the money, but we're not investing properly.
Thank you. Dr. Male, every time we have a new president, we are always looking backwards. I see people, when we advocated for change from President Sullivan, when we got President, we are based on the change, especially the young people wanted. People started looking backward. They say, this never happened Ellen time, right? Then after Allen, we got Weir, and people are looking back to Ellen time. Now we got, so Boakai came, and people are saying, oh, this time, we are time. In fact, one of our panelists here, Dr. Pearson, at one point was looking back at the despotic regime of Charles Taylor and said it was better. At least Charles Taylor was a better political leader, right? So we are always looking back and not forward looking when it comes to what we want. In fact, people were saying when we had took over, they were talking to Boakai, they said, Papa, we're sorry. We made a mistake. Now there are people coming down and saying, we sorry. How to call it? Heavy sand. We made a mistake. We want to go back. Why is it that we are always looking back, Dr. Male? Is it because our best days are behind us?
Could you please permit me, before I answer your question, to just throw one or two questions to Dr. Carlos, so that when we come back, he can answer that question for me?
Yeah, he can answer right away. Go ahead.
Deacon Carlos, my question to you is that we keep reflecting, we keep bringing the progressive into perspective in the discussion. My question to you is that, did the progressive come to Liberia with a bold plan of action to take over state power, or did they come to experiment the political system?
Let me tell you what we did. We started to review whether the health, education, role. My first paper, for example, was about the healthcare. 2-3 women sleeping in one bed in maternity center. I started yelling. Now, is it somebody said they brought a system from America or from somewhere? I saw 2-3 women sleeping in the bed at a delivery place, maternity center. So when somebody asks me, where you go to school? So I have to go to Harvard. I have to go to Columbia. I stay in New York all those years. But I got to go to New York to know better. I know that the health system of our country didn't serve me well. And like I always say, this the service I got from a state, from a government. I didn't say President Talbot or President this. When I ran into some trouble, this lady was Minister of Agriculture, and I'm saying Chenaway, my parents were brushing over and over and over, and said they would move agriculture They would produce pusawa, a thing. But my mother and father, they were having difficulties in sustaining the thing. So if you say you will produce 80%, 90%, I'm saying show me the plan. I always like to see the plan, Piggy. I like to see the 1, 2, 3. If it doesn't add up, then I'm frightened to death. And so all the people, all the guys, whether they come from Mississippi, they come from Talbot, they come from there, I always say, let me see the plan, Piggy. You say 80% we produce our own food 1980. They didn't show a plan. We were asking that the plan we were asking for. I want to even today. Even
This
today.
question is, but did you have a plan? Did you have a plan?
Yeah, did you come with an alternative plan?
The alternative plan we got, let me say confess and I mean, did I know who will have taken over the state 1980? No. We got we probated our party July 8, 1980. At the time, United People Party became legal July 8. So do I have plan? And by February, all of us was in prison. I wonder we were talking plan in prison, or we were being tortured every day. That's where we were. We were being tortured every day. So yeah, but they think that I can tell you we were very determined that whether they. I remember one morning, and my friend Matthew said to me, "Ping, they will put all the people outside, but your ass will stay in the jail." And I accepted that. With the beating and all of that, I accepted that. But so I started thinking, and this happened, and this happened. So I started thinking more. But that will take over, say, April 12, 1980? No. So did I have plan in April 1980? No. Secondly, we have never, United People's Party or Progressive People's Party, we never managed a state. We never. Our ECOWAS and Mr. Matthews sent for me and said, Puri, wanted to see me. And he said, but you were up and down. And I said, they didn't give me any job. And so I was getting ready to go to America to school. He said, the noise you were making, who will manage the system? I said, oh, but who formed the government? I mean, was I nominated to any spot in the state government? No. Did I support the revolution? Did I support what was happening? Yes, I supported it. But it means it means when somebody is not thinking right, I can't say it. Oh damn it, I will say it. Because that's my country too. Liberia is my country like any other person, whether it's Boakai president, whether it's Joya president, whether who. I am a Liberian, and so I have interest in what takes place here.
Deacon, while you are still there, one of our regular list followers here, Sam Wallow, is saying, and I want you to answer this question today because this is the question that you get all the time. Are the progressive ready to apologize to the Liberian people and admit their failed misadventures of the 1970s?
I would never apologize.
They were used by one hand to turn the people against the government to set the stage for regime change, thinking they would be the change, not knowing the other hand was working to put in the military on top.
No. Whoever pulled the military, whoever supported the military, I can tell you, when I was taking all the prison April 12th that morning, I was very supportive. Right away, first I was tortured, I was beaten badly, and so I can't do what, dance for Talbot? Who tortured me like that? I didn't even think it. You think it was right for me to do that? The country was messed up. I thought that we were giving Liberia a best shot. We didn't. I regret that very much.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I see a lot, because I'm a teacher and I've been in this business, and we are the best since the fall of the Malay Empire. I can see something in Glendy's face. Glendy, you want to say something? Go ahead.
So I don't understand.
Yeah.
I respect that you wouldn't apologize,
No.
but we also want to be fair to our society, that we can look back and say all of the struggles we have now started from your time. Why do you not think it's necessary to say we anticipated that this would bring good to the society, but it did not?
And Glendy, please explain when you say all the struggle we have started your time. Explain that a little bit.
So back up my few time, Rice Riot, the 1980 coup, all of the succession of different problems in Liberia can be referred to the progressives during that time.
No,
So when
but-
Liberians look back now, they're like, if you all didn't do this, we probably would be okay. Why do you not think that some of these things that are happening now, you all should be blamed for some of them?
Before that time, we had Tuan, we had D2 who were paraded
Exactly.
naked, during the Todman era. So when that's why I wanted you to throw light on where.
So I can only speak. Todman Tower, and I don't think I was born at the time, but I know 1980. I know. I remember that time.
These things were not happening before you were born.
Yes, I mean what I'm saying is some
All
of
right,
those
but
things that I can identify with. I know, like the Barker's Mafia time, 1980. I think I was maybe 10 or so years old. I remember them going to arrest my father, and I remember those times. I remember Barker's Mafia and Emerson and all of those people. So that's why I'm asking. When you're looking back now,
I get it.
Yeah.
I just throwing light that when Todman called Famule from Kenya and arrested him, that was during Todman era. So those things were happening even before Todman and before what we know today as the progressive era. But Deacon,
Dennis, can I get 30 seconds before Deacon comes in and then round it up on that point?
Okay, yeah, 30 seconds.
Look, we should put the conversation with the progressive in context, right? When our parents go in the market and buy all the ingredients to cook our food and they start to chop it up to put it in a pot, some of us who are the kids, we just are confused about why they're mixing everything up until you see the end product. Now, it amazes me for someone to write that the progressive did not achieve anything and put us in problem. That's fallacy. That's total nonsense. First of all, you will not have the multi-party democracy we have in Liberia today without the progressive movement. You will not. You will not be able to speak free like you're speaking right now in a democratic society like you can do right now. You will not. You will not have students participating in politics. You will not have the native people, children, all in the executive mansion, or in the the Capitol building, burning it down. You will not have them all in the ministries and agencies, riding fancy cars and having generator at home and paying the rent. You will not have that.
What good is that?
The good is that you
burning the place.
Dennis, when you read our history, one of the fundamental issues in our history is the marginalization of the majority of Liberians, over 98% of Liberians, by a minority who were a handful who had the people enslaved in a form of colonial rule, where presidents were assigned from the United States of America to Liberia, where major issues of our country were discussed from overseas, and our people only just followed and told them in hammer and pay taxes with their faces to the sun. That is unacceptable. You cannot say the progressive did not make it. Now, let me close by saying this.
Yeah,
look, we need to teach our people our true history. And this is the fact about our true history. None of us will be having a discussion having now in multi-party democracy without the progressive movement. And let's say there are excesses, and I should say, and Deacon said it right. He feels bad about the excesses, but that's life. That's life. It comes with the excesses. Let's move on.
But it's still a question to ask, though. It's still a question to ask.
Yeah, no, I want Deacon to answer now Glendy's question.
Of apologizing, let me tell you something, Piggy. The country was messed up. Like I said, when I got other posts stacked, I was at not Central Beach or South Beach prison. I was in the military prison. Military prison. There where they had me. There where I was tortured. Now, I'm not just saying the reason I will not apologize, because from look, okay, let me tell you something about my 1960. Let me talk about 1955. Some of my grandparents, they were part of that 55 thing in Sino. They were trying to change the rotten thing in Sino. They executed them. They killed them in 1940. They killed them. My relatives were taken to Fananepu. So when you take on the system, if you read your history well, you take on your system, you know you will either do it or you will not do it. And when you don't do it, you're dead. That a bad, rotten history. That's what it tells you. So when you challenge, the guy, I remember I was in a meeting with President Albert, and he said to me, "Come, your partner, my friend." I told him, "Is the president my partner, your friend?" Why is not your friend? Today, up to today, we don't have a role. We don't have no role. Why I was born, no role there, no school there, no clinic there. So I should be excited? No, I wouldn't be. So I wouldn't apologize. When some system come, some friend of mine said, "Come, we are brought you the government." I said, "Where?" I was there for 12 years. All the time as Sally was president, I was sitting down. I decided I was in New York working. I decided to go home. They gave me a job. And she said to me, "You didn't assist. I never worked with Khan before." And I said, "It's okay." So I know a lot of other young people who felt that they had to do something or please Mr. Sally, please this one. And so they did, and they get a job, but the job was messed up because they didn't enjoy themselves, but they drew a check. Now, if you want a check, then you can do that. If you want a check, you can do that. You kiss ass, then you get a check.
Thank you very much.
Can I come in? Dennis?
Deacon is a legend.
Yes, yes.
All right. Dr. Mali.
Yeah, 30 seconds. I beg to differ with Dr. Pearson, and I think Deacon Kara should be here responsible for some of the ongoing thing in our country today. I strongly want to believe that a political party is a shadow government in waiting with bold plan of action. If you are fortunate, you get into the space and you begin to move on. But if Deacon Kara is telling me that the progressive had no plan, then they were on an experiment. Because this is a period where you have a military junta taking over. They were academically bankrupt. They didn't have their military skill to their speed. It was only the progressive that would have straightened things up. But it seems to be the progressive either lost its way or they didn't know what to do. Because even when Barker Matthew ascended to the foreign ministry, you know how he performed there. But again, the question is this. Before the progressive could come to Liberia, I have been concerned about their political experience. I've been concerned whether you people ever took part in public service before coming to Liberia. You see? And so at the end of the day, I strongly want to believe that the progressive were very poisonous to, yes.
I think we can have this as a separate conversation.
Yes, I'm using the word deliberately. The progressive are very poisonous to the growth and development of a country. They let us down. And I keep hearing that they contributed to multi-partyism. No, multi-partyism was in Liberia. Probably one party took over. Since 1847, we had a Republican Party, we had a two-way party, we had the Independent Party. So multi-partyism started long ago before the progressive ever came to capitalize on that. But that is not my bone of contention. My bone of contention here is that the progressive never had any plan.
Right.
It was on political experiment.
So, Dr. Mali.
Yes, sir.
The progressive, you say a party in waiting. Was the progressive a party before 1980? Is that what you're saying, suggesting?
Okay. I think I meant to say political parties.
I mean, was there a political party before 1980? Was that a political party that would be a government in waiting? Or the same way you are criticizing the current system now, will you say, will we ask you what is your plan?
What if
But
I'm
anyway,
a political?
all right, but anyway, hold that
Yes, sir.
thought. Let me
If
welcome.
you ask me
hold
what's
on,
my
hold
plan
on,
as a
Dr.
political party, I will give you a bold plan. Yes.
Oh, okay, but you are not a party, so I don't know what to plan. But let me welcome Dr. Josh Gonpu. Let me welcome Dr. Josh Gonpu, who is an aspirant in the. First, he was a aspirant in the Nimba County by-election. Dr. George P. Gonpu, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Dennis, and thanks to your listening audience, and thanks to your panel for having me here to participate in your panel. On your show. I'm not new to focus on Liberia. I think I've been on your platform before, so I don't feel like a stranger.
Yeah, that's what I say. Welcome back. But Dr. Gonpu, what we are discussing before we get to your portion is, with all the things that are happening now, people always look at the days you were at Senatorial Central High, you look back and say, oh, these were good days. We are always looking backwards. So does that mean our best days are behind us? Are we living our best days now as a people, or they are ahead of us? Even though things can always get better. What do you think?
You are breaking in. Could you clarify your?
Yeah, my question to you.
Question.
Every time we talk about Liberia, we look in the past, troubled days. The days were at Senatorial Central High or LU, the soup day. We're not doing this. JFK was the best. That under Dr. Anthony Brown Sherman, LU was the best, and all that. So I'm asking you now: are our best days behind us, or are we living our best days? The future you advocated for from Senatorial Central High, the future is here.
I don't think so. We have to be up. I think so. I think we have to be optimistic. However, we have to learn from history. We have to acknowledge the accomplishments of the past. We have to acknowledge the progress that were made under certain times in our past history, and at the same time, look forward to a brighter future. And most of our problems and the solutions to those problems are related to leadership. And of course, every time we have, every period we're in, we have some leaders. But having leaders who are insightful, leaders who are bold, leaders who are decisive and effective is something that we get once in a while. And so we will always look back at history at some of those periods as we try to build for the future.
Thank you. I want us to conclude our previous segment before we go into the segment with the Nimba County by-election with Dr. Gonpu. So I just want to get your comments on that, Deacon and Mr. Sharif. You've not.
Yeah. So you're talking to me?
Yeah.
So just to wrap it up, and I agree with my brother, Dr. Pierce. One of the things I have been critical of the the progressive handling of the aftermath of the 1980 military takeover. As Deacon has admitted, I mean, the handling of that takeover, the way in the aftermath, it was haphazard. It wasn't handled correctly. But he's not apologizing for anything that led to the revolution. What are some of those things? Let's take a look at some of the things that happened. The antecedent events to the 1980 revolution. Then there was a time that Liberians were conscripted and sent to Fernando Po by President Charles D.B. King. And my disappointment is that the revolution did not penalize people like Charles D.B. King. The revolution should have penalized people like Charles D.B. King, but today Charles D.B. King is celebrated. One of the worst presidents in Liberian history is celebrated. The revolution did not penalize William V.S. Tubman, who committed excesses against the Liberian people. The revolution celebrated people like that when they should have been condemned in Liberian history and penalized in that revolution. The revolution penalized William R. Tolbert, who was also a progressive. Keep in mind, Tolbert was in the progressive movement. Tolbert was a card-carrying member of Moja. But the revolution, so what I'm saying now is that the revolution picked on perhaps the wrong person, if you will. And this is my conclusion on that, because, and that's why it was so mismanaged that Deacon and others fled the country. Others fled the country. They left, the government in the hands of the military junta, guys who were inexperienced, guys who didn't know what they were doing, other than stealing Liberian people's money. When Deacon and others fled the country, it was worse. It was worse. And so I agree that there was problem after the revolution, but there were a lot of things that happened that preceded the revolution where Liberians, under the TWP regime, that Liberians were, as we say in Liberia, brutalized. There were excesses. Under that government. We know what happened. You just brought up the issue of Detour. You just brought up the issue of Twan Ware. These people are just few of the individuals that suffer the excesses of the Tubman government. And it wasn't just the Tubman government. It was governments before Tubman. It was governments before Charles D.B. King. It was governments even from the 1920s and 30s and stuff like that.
Thank you. Well, that's the historian Mohammed Sharif, who is also our political analyst. Deacon, I want you to conclude on everything that I've said. Let's take a 1 minute, and then we're going to go to Dr. Gonpu, who is aspiring to replace Prince White Johnson. Deacon, let's conclude on this first segment.
The conclusion I make is say.
Please get back to the microphone. Yeah.
Conclusion I make, we say. So how come the progressive are held responsible for the mess taking place in our country? The sister said, I was pretty young, but from 1980, but the good man said 1920, 1925, 1930, 1935, the brutality in our country, in our political system, didn't start 1980. I can tell you, whether you believe it or not, the day they executed the people on the beach, I remember Comrade Wise and myself were looking for a job. So we had gone to see Dr. Boley. And while we were sitting to see Dr. Boley, the soldiers were running up and down and talking that they're going to execute those people today. So, Wise and I started to gossip. What do you mean they want gossip? But they didn't get the people to code yet. So how they would execute people today? I know Franklin Franklin, the military guy who came from the law school. Yeah, he had a law degree. But nobody, Frank Saint-Berlin, nobody is holding Frank Saint-Berlin responsible. They're holding Matthew responsible. They're holding Timothy responsible. He should have known better. Why did they go into that kind of government? What government will go in? The true party government? So the thing that we must do, our country messed up from that time. That the time, again, I said they were sending people to Fananipu, some of my family people. There were no school. The torturing of people in the countryside. They went in the countryside to enforce 1904, 1908 to collect taxes because they wanted to pay for their, thing. So they started beating people, torturing people, killing some people. So the people learned to be violent. That was the true party people taught. When these guys took over 1980, they didn't tell the foreign minister. Murphy was sitting in a meeting with the diplomatic corps. when the word got to him that the people were executed. You were not there. Dr. Timothy, I think you were preparing someplace. You were not there. But I'm not giving this as an excuse, but I'm saying that we have to, this business, torturing people, we got to stop it because I will torture. Any day I will not support it. But I will not say we apologize for that because I was torture too. Myself, my very self was torture.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. We are live on FOL TV and also Tier 1, Tier 95.9. We have our Dr. Gonpu who is running to replace PYJ. So my first question to you, so we begin that segment, Dr. Gonpu. Why should the people of Nimba County pick you over Koga, Edith Gonglo, Prince Yelu, and the rest of the people? Why? And why you want to be senator? You are teaching and you're doing good here in New Jersey, teaching at a university. Econometrics. We need more economists in the country. Why do you want to go to Nimba?
Well, I am the best candidate because the people themselves have called on me to do this, especially the young people, partly because of my history and partly because of my accomplishments and because of my vision for the county and for our country. The situation in our country requires effective leadership. And we know what has happened at the executive level with respect to performance. And I believe that if we have a strong legislature, there can be some progress, significant progress, because the executive does nothing without the legislature cooperation. When we speak about corruption across government, when we speak about incompetence, well, those incompetent and corrupt behavior are happening from people who were appointed, right? In terms of law enforcement that is occurring at the executive level, those people are passing through the legislature because our constitution requires advice and consent from the Senate before people can have executive authority to execute laws, to manage our budget, to negotiate in our behalf. So if our country has a strong legislature, there can be progress in our county as well as progress in the country in general. So I have a record in that area with respect managing our finances through the Liberian budget, and that record is strong. Additionally, when it comes to youth empowerment, I am strong in education. I've had and still run an educational foundation that have helped to sponsor and inspire so many young people to advance themselves. And that work can be expanded through adding in the whole idea of vocational, technical, and computer, as well as global education
to
strengthen our young people.
Dr. Gonpu, sorry to interrupt. You're talking about you are going against the former Superintendent Edith Gonglo, where you are going against Samuel Kolga, a current representative. You are going against Garrison Yelu, a former representative of Nimba. And you are also going against Timba, who is a former representative of Nimba. You are going against Mark Blewon, a former Nimba County inspector. Of all of them, you are the only, probably one of those who have never worked in Nimba. I mean, why should they prefer you over these people?
Well, I don't see myself as going against anyone. I see myself as presenting an agenda, presenting a vision, which is driven by the needs of our people, the needs of the county. Those people have worked in the county, but people are not really happy.
Okay.
Although some contributions have been made, people still want more. People, the county deserve more, and so I've been called upon, been asked
Who
to
asked you?
seriously consider. Who asked me? As I said, I have a support group that is women, farmers, and a cross section of Nimbans.
Thank you. I know I want to bring in.
Before I even agreed to enter the race, I set a condition that I would enter the race if the Nimba people are looking for more vibrant, more effective kind of leader. And so one of the things that was done before I entered the race was that there was an independent NGO that was asked to do some work across Nimba County. And it did a scientific survey going across 50 different towns in Nimba County, across the 9 rural districts, interviewing over 600 people. And based on the result of that interview, it indicated that more than 50% of the people were still undecided. So that's also a key factor that I consider.
Thank you. And before I bring in the rest of the panelists to ask you too, in Nimba, I mean, people are talking about balance. Some say if we want have down person, we need to have a man person, man and Gil. Some say no, we need one person from lower Nimba and one person from upper Nimba has that balance. Others will say, oh, we need gender balance. We have all men. Of all the different balance, which one is more important to all? Some people say we need competence. Which one is more important to you over the other?
Well, regional balance, ethnic balance, gender balance, those are all within the system for effective leadership, for bringing perspectives that can be proactive in problem solving. But I think what is important first is character, is integrity. You are a woman. It does not matter whether you are Dan, Madingo, Pele. My thing has to be character. It has to be record, integrity. Then we begin to look at issues of diversity. Because if you have character, you do not have the record and the integrity to serve the people, be disappointed. And so I believe that what should be primary is what is the character of the person, what is their record on service, on leadership, and then we also consider ensuring that we have diversity.
My last question to you is, you are running to replace Prince Wyatt Johnson. And Prince Wyatt Johnson is many things to many people. Some people see him as a psychopath, a mass murderer, a warlord, the one who engaged in pay-to-play and was sanctioned, and others see him as the hero. Who is Prince Johnson to you?
Well, like any other human being, I think it's hard to pin one thing down to say this person is X or this person is Y. We all have our history, and we all have so many different elements of our history. And I think what impresses me most about Prince Johnson is his legacy in terms of his emphasis on education in the county and on peace building. If you listen to the statement that was made by one of the granted senator, I think it's Thomas Yaya or so, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he talked about his friendship with Prince Johnson and some of the unfinished business that Prince Johnson was working on and was dreaming of, the idea of reconciliation and peace building between the different warring factions and between Nimba County, Grangeda County, and other counties. And then when I look at the money that he made in the legislature or in his work, where did that money go? He has a polytechnic university built in Nimba County. And in Monrovia, he has a high school and he has a church. So those are all elements of emphasizing the future of the country with respect to youth empowerment and youth education. And these are the kinds of things that I'm interested in. And yeah, so basically that is the emphasis in terms of building on that positive legacy to make the county a pace setter and to also present an alternative model for Liberia that other counties could emulate as we try to develop Liberia.
Thank you. If you are watching and want to be part of the conversation, we have our local numbers and also our conference call numbers. Let me bring in Glendy if you have any question for Dr. Gonpu. And Glendy, because I know who you're supporting in this race, but I'll not tell them.
Dr. Gonpu, how are you?
I'm good. Thank
you.
And
I am, let me just say publicly myself, I am supporting Edith because I'm supporting her because of her resilience. And I think a woman wanting to run, having won 3 times, this is the 4th time, there's something she must have seen in herself and want to do for her people of Nimba. But I want to ask you, because there's a direct connection with you and Edith when it comes to people always say, oh, Edith will run and then she leaves and goes and comes back in and out. You're here, you're staying outside of Liberia. Why should someone choose you over Edith? Let me put my second question and you can just answer all together. My second question is, I hear you talking about change. I wrote them down. You're talking about making a difference, reformation. But I want to ask, what has been your role in direct contrast publicly to some of the legislators or the senators we have now? What have you said? What have you done? If you're not satisfied and you think that just you can go to that body and make the difference that you think Liberia needs, where can we go to find your voice on some of those issues?
Well, you can go to social media, and even some of the discussions that we've had on this very platform with respect to my view on where Liberia should be heading. And on the issue of why should someone choose me over Adam Gonglo, I think I respect everyone who's in the race, and we're all Nimbians, we love one another. I think what distinguishes me from so many of the other candidates, including Madam Gonglo, is that I'm one person who has been highly ethical from a very young part of my life. I started fighting corruption and bad governance while I was still in high school in the county. I was student council president of San Nicolas Central High School, which is the largest institution in the country. Before the crisis, before the war, And I led a student movement that not only challenged the educational authority in the county, but our case went all the way to the executive mansion. And I presented on behalf of the student body before the president of Liberia, William R. Talbot. And we went into that case and we won the case. And some administrators were sent to jail. And we fought that case until those funding that were embezzled were paid. So people in the county remember that. And it's difficult to find someone in the race who have that kind of record that goes back that long. And that has been the consistent pattern of my record coming into student government in the University of Liberia, and then later on serving as Deputy Finance Minister for Budget. People in the legislature who I work with know me. People who in the financial sector in the country know me as well. Working tirelessly to close loopholes, to ensure that there were no fleecing of government, balancing the budget, working closely with Madam Salif in the whole process of the work and meeting the requirements of the international community, thereby resulting in the waiver of Liberia's debt, expanding our fiscal space. So that record goes long, and the record in civil society, working with students, financing them, mentoring them, and looking tirelessly for scholarships domestically and globally. So my record is very difficult to be matched. And then when it also comes to policy making, my research emphasis is on macroeconomic policy that deals with development issues, that deals with financial issues to help to bring more prosperity to the country. And people know that so many of the people who are running have long service record. But when it comes to producing solutions, when it comes to having innovative, creative ideas to bring some new solutions, new strategies for solutions, I'm very difficult to be matched. And so that's why people are choosing me, and they're beginning to gradually get to know me, and they're prepared to elect me.
Thank you. Josh, are you there to announce our local numbers? Okay. While we wait for Josh, let me, Mohammed, yes. I see some question on your mind.
Yeah, I have a question for the candidate, Dr. Gonpu. Dr. Gonpu, so, you know, just drawing on what Dennis asked you first, you're running to replace Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson is one of the most, was one of the most divisive figures in modern Liberia. He and others took the legitimate grievances of the Liberian people and turned this into a bloodbath. And he never apologized for that. And so where are you with this? As far as excesses committed by Prince Johnson. And again, I want to be careful not to downplay why we have the likes of Prince Johnson, because they were, again, the antecedent for what led to Prince Johnson. We also have to look at that. Right. So I'm not discounting that. Historically, I do know that there were some things that went on which led to the rise of people like Prince Johnson. But then Prince Johnson then used that to commit a wholesale excesses. And it was, you know, it was tribal. It was, you know, all these different things that happened to my people, my own people, and other people. Are you willing to say something about that? You stand with them? Do you support that kind of you know, that kind of thing, or what are you willing to say about that?
Yeah, I know so many people were hurt due to the Civil War, and I sympathize.
You're talking about the action of Prince Johnson, not just Civil War.
But I mean, the action of Prince Johnson that he wanted to emphasize that he's talking about is related to the Civil War, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Right. So I sympathize with the victims of the war. Myself was also victimized. I had very close relatives in the St. Peter's Lutheran Church. The government of Liberia, under Samuel Doe, led the massacre of hundreds of people in our church. My very close uncle, along with his entire family, were wiped out. There are people in this movement who lost their mothers and other relatives in our church. And long before that, so many of the citizens of Nimba County were hunted in the streets in peacetime when there was an existing government. And Prince Johnson was in the military, and citizens of that county, because of their ethnicity, were labeled as rebels and were chased in broad daylight and murdered. And people just sat by and thought that it was a Nimba grand jury thing, was a crime, down thing. And that's crazy. And it led to the escalation. So Prince Johnson and many of the people of Nimba County see him as a hero because he sacrificed his career, he sacrificed his life to rise up and stand up to the dictatorship.
Do you see him as a hero?
Do I see him as a hero?
I think he does.
Well, I'm not really here to focus on Prince Johnson per se, but I'm telling you the context of the situation in Nimba County. For me, I look at, as I told you before, I look at Prince Johnson's record holistically. Okay, the accusation that came through the as the result of what happened in the Civil War, and that's why we all call. And Prince Johnson eventually agreed to have the War Crime Court. So let's do the War Crime Court. Let's let people come out and let's look at the evidence that is involved. Because when you look at Prince Johnson, you talk to Prince Johnson, he's saying, look, I had to fight for my life. And I cannot even assure you that if I was in Liberia under those circumstances, I don't even know. I mean, it's very difficult for me to tell you that I would not have risen up to do something. So let's look at this whole Liberian thing in a broader context, and let's focus, find a way to reconcile, to do apology, and to try to appease those people who were impacted, rather than personalizing this thing about Prince Johnson and Nimba and this person. Let's look at this thing in a broader historical context. And then we'll start arriving at a solution for us to begin to rebuild this country. It will focus on individuals and what those individuals did, and those individuals have their own story. So that's why I'm saying my engagement in this is to look at what helps our country. And what helps our country is to recognize the need of our young people and Prince Johnson's legacy in terms of what he left. Is something that is positive for our nation, and we begin to overly focus on other parts of his life which happened during the civil crisis. I don't think that will help us to move forward.
Thank you. I think people sometimes talk about it. Hold on 1 second, because I want to bring in our callers, but people are focused more on what he did outside the combat, like the excesses, like having all those women on coward base used as sex slaves and all that. But we are not here for that, as you said.
But it's an important discussion for
it's an important point.
And also, even after the war, they pay to play, right? And all that. That's what people want to know. So it's not merely about. It's outside, because if you go to war and you are
but then the candidate is not yet to support Prince Johnson or condemn Prince Johnson, which is pivotal to the race in Nimba County. Are we here to back the man for Prince Johnson errors and faults?
The race is to replace Prince Johnson, and he's been celebrated as the hero. So who best
Every one of them
Prince Johnson
celebrate
is
Prince
one
Johnson as a
against-
hero. They gave him a state funeral. President
But every
Boakai
one
gave
of
him a
them is
state
Yeah,
not
but we
hero.
have to ask him. The other people not running. He's running. So we need to know his perspective on the Prince Johnson issue. That's not a
very
wrong
important.
question.
But let me
But
bring in George.
I think my perspective is clear. I think my
Let
perspective
me bring in George to
is clear.
announce our
You
local
see?
numbers. People in Monrovia want to call in. George, go ahead.
Okay, folks, so wherever you are, here reading 95.9, you just listen to the program. Focus on Liberia, and we have all the great guys here this afternoon. So wherever you are this afternoon, the numbers to call in 0770 570 477 and 0881 871 670 and 0770 570 477 and 0881 871 670. These are the numbers to call and be a part on the show.
Thank you. We have one caller from our U.S. number. Caller, your name and where you calling from. Go ahead, caller, quickly.
Thank you.
You
Thank
have,
you, Mr. John.
you have
This is
30
Elvis.
seconds.
All right, this is Elvis calling from Minnesota. Look, I just want to thank you for the show and thank you to the panelists. And to Mr. Deacon Carter, he's one of my heroes. I think he he didn't get the recognition that he deserved. I think what he did during the time of activism that he was a part of was wonderful. And he's one of the last remaining people from that era. But I want to ask him, what was something that really burned that fire in him that made him to organize and to put all the energy and the effort into getting people conscientized in the different counties to be a part of that revolution? And what do you think is lacking right now amongst young people, college going students, young people, to spark that fire, to really try to get young people to wake up, even older people to wake up and see that their country is going the wrong direction, to call for a revolution, to a peaceful means this time, and to really get the country on the right footing? That's my question.
Thank you. All right. We'll give Deacon the opportunity, but Dr. Gonpu, you were saying something, so I want you to complete your thought because Glendy is pushing that you have something.
Basically, I'm not here to be a lawyer for Prince Johnson or any other person who participated in a war for serious charges. I think those things should be addressed in court, and that's why the war crime court is on the table. Okay, so I'm here to run on my own record. I'm here to run on my own vision. And although Prince Johnson occupied our seat, it was not like a personal seat and so forth. So it should not be viewed like if I'm running, then now I have to make a case for or against Prince Johnson. Okay, so it doesn't. Well, let's look at the needs of this county, a very significant county in our body politic, which could be a model for development of the entire country. I think that's where Liberians are. That should be the interest of Liberians, rather than trying to make each candidate to position themselves with respect to how they feel about Prince Johnson or how they don't feel about Prince Johnson. I've told you about Prince Johnson's contribution to the county, and in Nimba County right now, and in Liberia as a whole, people are concerned about solutions. There's so many problems affecting people's lives that are really retarding the growth, the development, the unity, and the progress of the country. And our people are concerned about solutions. And so they're not interested in so much of revisionist history in terms of...
let me just Josh. Let me just read a little bit. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. Your name and where you calling from?
I'm calling from Senatorial.
Okay, Senatorial. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. I wanted to be very patient with Ms. Mo.
Okay.
I just want to address the Concaras Mo. You see, Sister Bonnie, you listen to me. Because always on school with all young men on our school called Jam Chelsea. 1979, I remember vividly. That Concaras man was in a demonstration. I'm making something not demonstration. I see him there that day. Someone getting not Jesse over speaker. He was pressing that day. We let us. When Vanny Pesa at the police director stopped us from on looting because they told us to loot. Start off on looting. It became confrontation between the army and the police on that day. Someone had to escape to go to Guinea, but 4 o'clock in the evening, Nimba with the police stood before they see the matter. So let me address that issue, please.
Okay, my brother. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, what you say the issue is? Can you explain? Just you explain it a little better. I couldn't hear you clearly.
I think that Carlos, you go ahead.
Okay, that's Mr. Deacon.
Yeah.
The caller, you heard him clearly, right?
Yeah.
Can you paraphrase what his question is, and then you can answer?
He wants to know my whereabouts on April 14.
Okay.
I was organizing.
Let me tell you, Deacon, we want to bring you back to speak exclusively on this progressive and April 14. If you'll be available Thursday at 4 or 8 o'clock, please come back. But go ahead.
I'll be available.
Thank you.
Let me say, from 1975 to that demonstration date, I was organizing our party. We concluded, about 26 of us, kids from Cottontown, from LU, we concluded among ourselves that if we don't put our own party in play, election will be, it will not be good for our interests. So we decided that we wanted to compete.
Yes.
Then somebody say about the training, so people can't. You go get training, go to school, go anywhere, get training. The question of where I were from the moment the government decided to put forth a right solution or a right policy, we started to ask the question, so where the plans? Where have you done so far 1978? What have you done so far that you take it to 1979, maybe 1980, to say that you will produce rice and you will stop the importation of putawa?
So Deacon, where were you on that day?
I was in Kennedy Hospital. I had gotten Dr. Benson Barr to set up a medical thing so that, because we thought that people would have gotten hurt, but not severely the way they did. So we set up Dr. Barr, we bought some drugs, and so we said, look, stay in Kennedy Hospital. Because at the time Benson Barr got there, all the doctors had fled the hospital. So it was Dr. Barr and some nurses that were at Kennedy Hospital. Then I would move all of Kennedy Hospital. I went into Bishop Brown headquarters, to Bishop Brown office. Bishop Brown wanted to take me to negotiate between us and the Minister of Justice. I told him the guy was ruler, you are going to kill me and kill other people. I was not going to meet with Oliver Duncan, Oliver Bright. So I was all over by 3, 4 o'clock. Then I went to hiding.
Thank you. Dr. Gonpu, I'm curious, where were you? 79, April 14.
April 14, 1979. I think what's the day of the what's the particular day? Was it on a Monday or what day was it? But I was not in the protest.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not in the protest, even though I supported it. But I was not. I was a young student at the University of Liberia at the time, and I was part of the student unification party. So generally, our party was in support.
It was on a Saturday.
And I hear you even on the show going after the progressive and so forth. And it's a different kind of thing with respect to the Prince Johnson issue. So you're looking at the progressive and you're only looking at, you're basically trying to overly focus on what you consider to be the shortcomings in the progressive history, and not looking at the contributions, the contributions to freedom, the contribution to standing up to oppressive state power and all whatsoever. That doesn't help the country. I mean, if we're looking at a historical period, we should look at the whole thing holistically in terms of both contributions and shortcomings.
Victor, where were you? I mean, I'm just curious. Since
let me just.
April 14, 1979. Were
yes. I don't want to answer the question. I said I saw him on that day, and I was part of the demonstration. He and Jason Nagabino still talk. Ask him. That demonstration was peaceful, but because they had a clear motive, it incited all the bigger violence. And God came Jason and those things came Jason was a business thinker, only the business thinker. We decided to start looting because they told the loot. We started to loot.
Are you saying this kind of looting or what you're saying?
Caller, please.
I'm giving you the fight.
Are you caller, please? Just listen to Mr. Dennis.
Yeah.
You wanna ask some questions?
Yeah, I'm not getting you. You say Deacon was part of the looting, or what? What are you saying? Where was Deacon?
It's in the recruit town way. They let us look at the recruit town. We are waiting for the whole prosperity. We go ahead.
And what wrong was protesting?
Commander fee. That's where the demonstration began. I think we will not do that.
I never left PAL headquarters for the last from that Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I stay at PAL headquarters. So you did not see me.
Yeah, I think that account is questionable because people were positioned at different areas. There was a real intentional effort to make sure everyone was not in the same place. So if you saw St. Jackson and Carla in the same place, that is questionable. But to answer your question directly, I mean, I was not even in high school then. I was not active with the movement, I have to admit. But that day I was in Yokepa. I remember very well. I was in Yokepa on that day when the protest happened. But let me register my apology for coming late. I'm traveling, but I made some minor adjustments, so I was able to buy time to join you. And let me welcome Dr. Gonpu and also Deacon back to the studio. It's good to be with you guys.
Mr. Dennis, you are muted.
We have another caller on the line. Caller, your name and where you calling from.
Thank you, Dennis. My name is George Williams, and it's a privilege and always an honor to be on your show. Thanks to the panelists. I think they're doing a great job. I'd like to honor Deacon for providing some context in terms of the progressives' contribution to where we are today as a nation, as a people. And I'd like to personally recognize his strength in not apologizing for helping a system, a country move forward. Contrary to the popular belief that they're responsible for what happened, Dr. Pearson did provide enough insights regarding their contribution vis-a-vis the conditions under which Liberians generally live. More than that, in 1980, the progressives weren't in charge. They weren't in charge and could not be held responsible for the outcome of the 1980 and post-1980 events in the country. Could they have influenced things? There's a probability that they tried, and some did, some didn't. But as a unit, what we fail to recognize is that the progressive, two groups of people put under one umbrella with two distinct approaches to national development. And so it's unfair to attempt to, in a blanket way, blame them for where we've come as a nation. Because successively and historically, we've seen that those who oppose the contributions of the progressive have taken power and they've done very little in terms of moving the country forward.
Thank you.
But yeah, You know, and so I wouldn't speak much to the Nimba County situation because I know very little about Dr. Gonpu and the politics in Nimba, but I wish the people of Nimba well. I hope and pray that they, given where our country is and our dire need for leadership, enlightened leadership, the people of Nimba can decide on the most enlightened leader who can move not just Nimba, but help to move Liberia forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Gonpu, I have a few questions here for you from our audience here. Gabriel Carter said, Dr. Gonpu hasn't won election yet, and he has already conformed to the norm and the rhetoric. This idea and train of thought will morph and translate into the way he carries out his development agenda, if any. I'm very disappointed in Dr. Gonpu. Nevertheless, I want to hear his plan for the county. The man hear your plan, you're disappointed. So you want to talk about. Then Dave Jar, his friends call him monkey walk, bamboo draws. That's his. Say, Dr. Gonpu, your scholarship, integrity, and competence are laudable. However, you want to be with an entity, talking about the legislature, where those virtues are not the ingredients for success. Dr. Gonpu, care to comment?
Yeah, Gabriel is says that he's disappointed. I don't know what is the basis of his disappointment. Whether it is the way I've responded to the President Johnson question, but I think my response is fair because again, we have so many accusations of war crimes, serious crimes, and the nation has decided to move forward with a court, and I'm asked, in light of my desire to be a senator, to comment. And basically, as I said, I am an optimist, and I'm someone who is solution-oriented, a service-oriented leader, and I focus on the needs of the county, the needs of our country, and the place of our county within the country. And I've built my agenda around that. And in light of that, I see portions of President Johnson's legacy which are very positive and could be built on. Peace building, reconciliation, unification within the county, building relationship between our county and Grand Judea County and other counties in the area. I think that's very positive. I think that's very optimistic. We need that for development. Right. And then I look at his contribution in the area of education. That
Dr. Gonpu, he called the people of Maryland County Boyo. Is that something you want to build on?
Well, I don't know, everything about Prince Johnson. So,
okay. Yeah, he was talking about
that he called the people of Maryland.
Dr. Gonpu, we don't let Dennis use the time to talk about the things that will not promote. Dennis, can we ask the aspirant some questions? Can we have not asked any questions yet?
You are interrupting.
Yeah, because I want to ask the honorable mayor.
I know
a question.
Yeah, but
Clarence, hold on. What are you doing, man?
I can't finish him, man.
No, but what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, but you can tell me my question is not in right place, and you have the better question. Okay, go ahead. Ask your better question. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Dr.
Okay, I have a better question too when you're done.
Yeah, no problem. You can come. But I haven't asked my question yet. Dr. Gonpu, we did an unofficial poll that shows that Samuel Koga has 43% likability for that position. Ido Gonglowe has 42% likability for that position, and you can look that up on our Neo Progressive Alliance of Liberia page on Facebook. And Yelu has 6% likability for being elected, and the whole thing was around 200 people. So I want to know from you, with that trend, what are you doing to sway voters to vote for you from these others individuals who already have the people gravitating towards them? It looks like a two-horse race. The second question I want you to answer for me is that with the chaos in our legislature, we noticed that the Nimbayans representation there is one of the key factors. Like they're since Makoga. All right. These are the guys who are the chairman for the chaos in the legislature. And we're seeing that you cannot even turn your back on Prince Johnson Ailes in society and say boldly what you want to say about him. And you pivoting because I know it's going to hurt your candidacy if you go that route. It's understandable. But how will you be different from your fellow compatriots from Nimba who are causing chaos in the House of Representatives?
You see, the man answered that question already. But go ahead.
Yeah, that is part of the reason why the Nimbayans are encouraging me, especially the young people are encouraging me. The polls you're referring to, I don't know how that polls were done. I'm a statistician myself, and I know how sample can be taken. You can take samples in ways to be biased so that you get the kind of result that you want. So I don't know how scientific that poll was. I don't know how random that poll was. So, but some of the polls that we've seen that consider strata sampling, looking at making sure that you have some young people polled, you have elders polled, you have leaders polled, you have women polled within the sample, show something else. So yes, those people that you refer to could be considered front runners because they've been around for a long time. Koga has been in the House for 14 years, and we understand that even the government has thrown its weight. Some of the top people in government have thrown their weight behind him. But the people, the young people in Nimba are basically saying it's time to move forward. It's time for better. This guy has been in the legislature for 14 years. And some of his record now in the legislature shows that, you know, he is heading the group that is considered the majority Black. You see, so the question is, how many of the voters in Nimba know about his performance in the legislature as they make their decision? How many of them know? The accessibility to media and media information is limited. The county is quite rural, and even owning a radio for many people in the county is considered, you know, as a major purchase of an asset. That's how high poverty is. So I've just
thank you.
Toured the county. Yeah, I've just toured the county, and I've gone to so many of the rural towns, and I saw the conditions that people are living under. And so that is energizing my candidacy. And so how will I be different? Look at what I bring to the legislature. I've worked with the legislature before. I've worked as budget director. I mean, the budget, you know, the budget is a law. When the budget becomes approved, it becomes a law. The whole process of building the budget involves a lot of negotiation with the Senate, with people in the House of Representatives, and all of that. And through that budget, we're able to manage to provide funding for building elementary school back in Nimba County. We also managed to build to fund the Nimba University today. The whole beginning, the seed money that went into establishing the Nimba University, what is today the Nimba University. I was budget director when that whole processing was done, when the allotment was made, when those negotiations took place. So basically, I think my going into the legislature will bring a new beginning in a way. I mean, in the sense that
thank you.
Basically, I will be different. I like to solve problems. We're not seeing problems being solved when we have this situation that is going on in the House of Representatives and that have really been in a quagmire for a period of time. So there are things that I can do to contribute to reconciliation, to problem solving in ways that could reflect better for our nation and for the legislature as a whole.
Thank you. Our time on the radio is about out, but I want to give others an opportunity to ask Dr. Gonpu So let me start with you, Deacon. You have any question? I'm interested in hearing what you say to Dr. Gonpu. If you have any question.
Let me say what I have observed over the last 2 election cycles. The parties are now on the ground. I hope you build his party on the ground. Well, but they look like they have some resources, they have some money. So they got a big party on the ground. They can always, but if you want to win, if you want to nurture party work, it's to build a party, and build a party. For me, that's where PAL, my experience, putting effort on the ground, recruiting and educating people to learn to learn a little more, train people, train young people, train women, train old people. That if you want to win, that's what you should do.
Thank you. Dr. Gonpu, do you have a party or is this a one-man army or an independent?
I have a party. It's the ADML, the African Democratic Movement of Liberia. It's a centrist party in terms of ideology. We are not far left or far right. We bring together ideas from all sides, as long as the ideas that are effective in helping our nation solve problems and moving the nation forward. So we want to be bridge builders across the divides in our society in order to help bring legislation. We want to pass legislation, for example, that will put 30% of our budget into education, health, and infrastructure. If you recall, when Judy Bryan was interim president, I think the budget that he ran the entire country on was about $80 million. And now our budget is over $800 million. And yet our educational sector is still in a dismal state. Our infrastructure is still a problem. And then health-wise, we're still going to India, going to Ghana for certain basic care. So I think that if the Senate passes my proposal or my proposal for a law so that 30% of our budget automatically goes into these 3 areas, I think we can invest in youth, in our young people in terms of vocational, technical, computer education, and all kinds of basic training that will help them be job ready by the time they leave high school. And our healthcare system could also be better developed. And
Dr. Mali, you have a question for Dr. Gonpu?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. I'll just give all in one. You are welcome, Dr. Gonpu.
Thank you.
It has been, I don't know whether you agree with me, but I believe the horse has been stigmatized. It has been speculated that there are organized network of thieves currently hijacking Parliament. Do you agree? My second question is about the youth. According to the census, we have a 37% of our 37% taking the youth population in Liberia. Can you just name me 2 specific projects that the Nimbanian youth will remember you for when you are elected?
Yeah, the accusation of a gang of thieves hijacking our legislature.
Do you agree?
I've heard the accusation.
No, Dr. Gonpu,
I agree that those accusations have been made.
Hold on, Dr. Mali.
Well, you want my answer, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Yeah, so, you say you agree. That's what I wanted to know.
I agree that those accusations have been made.
But they don't exist.
Hold on, Dr. Mali. Let him flow.
Okay. There are corrupt people in our legislature. There is, even in my run, I've called former legislators, former senators, and they've warned me about some of the problems there with respect to corruption, with respect to, a culture of promoting corruption. And that's exactly the reason why we need to send some change agents in. And I think that especially those of us who have been privileged to not only live in our country, but to also live in the diaspora, I think we can bring some new perspective as to how democracies work, because we've lived in them and we've seen what legislature can do. Many of our brothers and sisters back home see government and see the legislature and see anywhere in government, as a path to creating personal wealth. Okay. And for you and I who are in the diaspora, we know that good governance and democracy is supposed to be about serving country, making a difference. And if we keep sitting back and just be analysts to hope that we just keep analyzing and things will change, I don't think that's going to happen. And that's part of the reason why I took off almost 3 years to go back to Liberia when Ellen became president, to jump in and to work and to lead by example. And this is what all of you in the panel, we all need to support this type of initiative for progressive people, for people who are thinking about Liberia's transformation, to step forward, to go into the legislature. We have a legislature where some of the people even running, it's been reported that some of the people running for this Senate position and someone who are even far ahead in terms of popularity, basically have no credential for high school graduation, college graduation. So we are sending people to our legislature to be lawmakers, to negotiate with foreign corporations in our behalf, who do not even have bachelor's degree. And but when people go to law school, the law school requires that to even begin to become a student of law, to learn how to read the law, you must first have a minimum of a bachelor's degree. And in Liberia,
Dr. Gonpu, who are you talking to?
Thank you, Dr.
Hold on, Dr. Mali. Dr. Mali, hold on. I want to go to Victor because we are out of time.
Oh, okay.
Victor, I want to hear your question for Dr. Gonpu.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Dr. Gonpu, welcome again. Let me just ask you, and I'm sorry because I was making arrangements to travel, I wasn't listening. So if you already addressed this, Dennis, give me a time. Let me preface my question. If you already answered this, then forgive me. But tell us a little bit about your capacity at consensus building. As you know, Nimba is very polarized. The list senator did a good job putting it together. You're going into the house. The house itself right now is at a stalemate. The lower house is dysfunctional, and therefore the upper house is practically doing nothing. So tell us, it may be something you've done in the past or something you intend to do, but what is your capacity? What are you bringing to help us build consensus in our body politics?
Well, I think that some of my record is to lead by example. I think you're anti-corruption, but your records show that you corrupt. Your records show that you're coming into government to enrich yourself. Clearly, people know that you are a joke. So my record is clear on earning your way. I think that people who serve in our government should be required to have some financial literacy. Everyone should learn to live within their means. If you accept a job and they tell you this job is $500 a month, you should make your budget around that. If you're trying to get additional income, there should be other pathway, legal pathway for you to make money. But what is happening in our society is where people see government as a elephant meat to be shared. And so we have to talk about how we lead by example. We put people through ethic training on a regular basis. We have workshops.
Thank you, but I was hoping, and I'm sorry, I know you say you're going to propose a law, to commit about 30% or so of the budget to education. As you know, the passage of any bill requires support, bipartisan or multi, party support. I'm just asking, how do you intend to do that were you to be elected in the House?
How do you intend to do that? Yeah, how do you intend to do that? Exactly. It's a difficult thing when people have that kind of mindset that government is supposed to help to enrich them personally, when it's supposed to be the other way around. We're here to serve. So my strategy will be to negotiate with our fellow senators and fellow legislators behind closed doors and give them reason why in the long run, if we take this path to develop our country, we all will be better off later on. And if I see resistance to that, then I have to take my idea to the people, go to the media, go to the citizens and say, look, these are the issues. These are the things I've proposed for the upliftment of our country. These are the things I've proposed for your children's future, for reconciliation. But people are stonewalling, people are about to undermine it, and so forth. So call on your senators, call on your representatives, because irrespective of who these people are, they love to be loved by their people. They love to be supported by their people. No one in the Senate or no one in the House of Representatives would like to be voted out. So if you take the issue to the people and the people understand it and they know it's in their interest and they begin to help you put pressure on your colleagues, call your senator who got technology now. You don't have to come from Grand Gide to come to Monrovia to talk to a senator. You can call them. That's how it's done in other countries. That's how it's done here. People listen to their constituents.
Thank you, Dr. Gonpu.
Begin to say, we are for this. For another thing, the issue of the term of office. The term of office is too damn long. 9 years for a senator is too long. 6 years for members of the House of Representatives is too long. People go to sleep. People go to sleep. They're not proactive. They go to sleep for 3 years, and then 3 years later on, they start becoming active. That needs to change. So we need to all work together. This is not something, nation building is difficult. One person cannot do it. People can only lead the way to inspire people, but the media, you, I, and everyone have to get involved if we want a better Liberia.
Thank you. Last question. What's your budget for your run, and where are you going to get the money from? I know you're a former budget director, so you made a budget already. How much are you going to spend, and where are you getting the money from?
It's a people's campaign, and I'm calling on all of you and your own, listening audience to chip in. It's a people's campaign. It's students that are supporting it. The budget is around $100,000. We need that urgently as the campaign is beginning. The campaign period is beginning very soon. So we are counting on the people to help us. And we basically are working out of our own pockets. And because of love of nation, we're doing this. So definitely we need your help and the help of all of the panelists here, as well as their networks to help us.
We are way out of time because 14 minutes out of time. So I'll just ask Dr. Gonpu and Dr. Deacon just to give their closing comments, and then we can call it a day. Let's start with Deacon. Deacon, you're closing for a minute.
I'm closing all the political parties. Please train your partisans. Train your campaign workers. If the guys are not trained, what do you think they will result to? They want to fold the ballots? They want to bind it? Or put it in one cartoon so that in the night they will smuggle it? Train your partisans. I know it will require a lot of men in the field, but that's the way to go.
Dr. Gonpu, you're closing, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you, Focus on Liberia, and thank to your panelists for engaging me. I've enjoyed the conversation. Let us all realize that although the election we're talking about is about Nimba County, but it's also about Liberia. Because again, what happened in any one part of Liberia affects the entire country. And we all know how important Nimba County is to Liberia. And we should remember that although Liberia has so many problems, those problems are solvable if we work hard to get quality leadership. And this is what we bring to the table. Also, I should emphasize that there is a status quo. There is a network of people who want to maintain the status quo, to continue to elect similar kind of people, to keep the country where it is. So we should realize that, and those of us who care about the country and about its future and want transformation, which I think all of you do because of the work you do, is about education, is about making a difference, should really take that into consideration to step forward to help a candidate like myself, who I'm one of you, basically going forward to say it's time to change the status quo. It's time for our country to move forward. And I'm bringing something unique and significant to our body politic in the Senate. So I've asked the Nimba people to consider me and to give me their vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Always focus on Liberia. Tuesday, we have the Hour of Politics. We have Abby Tyler, Healthy Living. On Thursday, we have Tough Talking Thursday. Friday, we have Friday Night Debate. On Sunday, we have the New Day. We have On Point. We have Hello Pastor, the Justice Forum. We have History Channel on Saturday, Friday. We also have the Literary and all kinds of. FOL is a full menu. So if you want everything Liberia, come right here. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies. And thank you for listening today. Thank to our listeners and even those who will watch later. Focus on Liberia always, where we educate and elevate all things Liberia. We never close broadcast without playing the song that says, "We are all Liberians." Whether you're going to vote for Dr. Gonpu, you're going to vote for Edith or Koga or the other candidates, we are all Liberians. What is important is for us to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good day and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.